and gentlemen, we'd like to call our meeting to order. Would everyone please rise as we honor our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Take your seats, please. I don't even know what I'm reading.
Not that.
And thank you. Roll call, please.
From the WOA board, Miriam Cohen, Tom Cole, Gail Alpern, Karen Schoenberg, Larry Rosen, Surjit Sandhu, Jay Ressler. From the Greenbriar board, Mark Sirks, Alan Greenberg, Jack Sandler, Chester Trubinsky, Wayne Baruch, and Jamie Cullen, property manager, and myself, Michelle Shanahan.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the May 23rd joint open board meeting minutes, please? Motion.
Motion to approve.
Second on that. Thank you. May we call the vote? You doing acclamation or by vote?
Do a motion to approve them in a second.
Okay, yes, we do. All in favor?
Okay, Miriam Cohen,
Yes.
Tom Cole,
Yes.
Gail Alpern, Karen Schoenberg, Larry Rosen, Jay Ressler, Surjit Sandhu, Mark Sirks, Alan Greenberg, Jack Sandler, Chester Trubinsky, Wayne Baruch.
Okay, the minutes have been approved. We'll move to the property manager's report, please.
Okay, so starting with Greenbriar, we've had a lot of success lately. A lot of homeowners are doing power washing and some new driveway aprons, things like that. Something to keep in mind, your concrete driveway aprons, if they're starting to crack, or you notice around the Belgian block, you're missing concrete, the water will get in there. It's going to undermine the rest of your driveway as well as the road. So that's something that you want to address when you can, as well as street trees. If your street trees are missing or you had to take them down, you want to make sure you let us know when you plan to replace them. It's fine if you don't want to do it till fall when the weather allows, just let our office know so that we can make a note in your file. And the board will go over some other upcoming events for Greenbriar. For the condos, we are still waiting on some people for dryer vent and chimney inspections. Unfortunately, fines are going to start. They were due no later than June 1st. We're now at the end of July. We've tried really, really hard to work with everyone. Most importantly, if work is scheduled, you have an appointment, you have an agreement with a vendor in the condos, and the date is just not here yet, just let us know that. That's the most important thing, is knowing that you're going to be able to safely operate. So make sure you give us a call, because we don't want to fine anyone unless we absolutely have to. Fire alarm inspections are taking place in 1/5 of the condos. So we're going to do a section a year for 5 years, and then it repeats to 5-year DCA required inspection. So Jose, our alarm technician, is working on that along with the Monroe Township Fire Inspector and a licensed electrician. If you are still on the schedule and haven't been done yet, make sure that your carbon monoxide detectors are working and that you have an adequate fire extinguisher, because those will be inspected as well. Driveway paving for those that were remaining, as well as some of the common driveways in the condos, is scheduled to begin the second week of August. Once I have a more firm schedule, I will send that out to everyone so that they can make arrangements for where they'll be parking and some other items. And for The Whittingham Homeowners Association, there's not too much new to report. It's pretty much business as usual. Things are going well, lots of activities, busy in the town center, lots of good shows coming up that Michelle's going to tell you about, but that's about it for me.
I was just told today that if you're putting in a fire extinguisher in the condos, that fire extinguisher, and I'm not sure it's not true for all over the community, that fire extinguisher is supposed to be in your kitchen.
Yes,
That is
it
the
is.
requirement.
Yes, it's just like if you were going to get your CO, your certificate of occupancy, they want to make sure that it's the right size, that it's not expired, and that it's in a good location, which it's supposed to be wall mounted in your kitchen. I know what a lot of people do. I'm not going to say if I did it too. I took it down, I spackled the holes, and I moved on with my life. But when you're in a home that shares walls with another home, you really have to consider that, because it's not just your assets that you're putting at risk or your safety. So something to consider.
One item came up in that discussion, which is why I mentioned it. One, that it's very heavy. And that there are many people that someone said to me today, I couldn't even lift it and take it off the wall to use. And the second is something I remembered from when we moved in. Your fire extinguisher has an expiration. If you haven't, as I see my neighbor is nodding his head at me, it has an expiration date so that you can have a fire extinguisher in your home that no one's coming in to look at, that will not work properly if you need it to work. I thought that was interesting information. And I remembered that one of the fire chiefs had said that. We have a report for recreation, please.
Okay, so on Wednesday, August 2nd, we'll be having a Atlantic City bus go to the Resorts Casino. Also on Wednesday, August 2nd, we'll have a Republic pool party. Tickets are required for food and prizes. It's from 12 to 3 p.m. It's sponsored by Republic Waste Management. On Wednesday, August 16th at 1:30, we'll be having a 6 Pillars of Brain Health lecture. It's in the poker room. It's free. You can sign up with the concierge. On Sunday, August 20th, we're having a WOA show, Dancing Dream ABBA tribute. It's in the ballroom. It is sold out right now. It's only a wait list right now. On Sunday, August 27th, a ballroom movie, A Beautiful Life at 1 p.m. If anyone has any movie requests or suggestions, you can always contact Kristen in Recreation at extension 227. And a couple of save the dates for September. We have an arts and crafts fair Sunday, September 10th. It's from 12 to 3. All are welcome to come to see their neighbors and the crafts in the ballroom. And we have a WOA show Friday, September 29th at 7 p.m. in our ballroom, the Beat Tells Beatles Tribute Band. And as always, the flyers are available on our website. And that's it for me.
And how is the Olympics going? How is the Olympics going?
It's done.
It's done, and
Apparently it went very well.
Oh, good. Mark?
Okay, we're going to talk about our 2023 paving contract. Jack, you want to grab a mic?
Okay. Hello, everybody. So this is, I think, the 7th year of our paving project. We're just almost done. And this year we reviewed bids for paving, and we selected Johnson & Barron, who has done the work for the last 5 years. For the 2023 paving project, the price will be $336,250. The roads being paved are the remaining section of Chichester Road, Penn Way, Trent Road, Aberdeen Way, and the crack fill on Sherwood Drive. This job is scheduled to begin sometime in mid-August. Do we have a date yet, Jamie? Do we have an exact?
They're going to try to run it concurrently with the condos. He's just trying to move some other people around on the schedule. So hopefully August.
August, okay. So we've been very happy with the work of Johnson and Barron. Their bid came in second from the bottom. We did go back to them and negotiate down about 2%, and then they were at the right price for us. So just want to let you know that Jamie always puts out a full schedule in conjunction with FWH regarding when the street will be closed. They will set up detours. We'll have a golf. I think we're going to have a golf cart to help out in certain situations where people are in need of cannot walk on the rough surface. There's different parts of the project. First, we do the milling. The milling sits for a day or two, a few days, and then they come in and they do the paving. We ask all residents to be super vigilant and not to walk in areas that are being paved. We don't want you to be hit by equipment, and we don't want you to trip on any of the uneven surface. So we would appreciate if everybody would follow those rules. And then the last day, when the paving is done, the street will be completely closed down. No deliveries, no move-ins, no move-outs. It's just a complete shutdown of the street. We'll let you know in advance so you can make your preparations for that. Mail delivery might be impeded or stopped on that day. They may not be able to get through. But so far, every year, we've had a lot of residents that have followed our instructions. 99% of our residents have followed our instructions, our recommendations. Occasionally, a resident decides to drive on the newly paved road before it's ready to be driven on. But we hope that won't happen now this year. But just be aware that this will be taking place on these streets. If your street has not been paved yet, and I think this might be covering all the streets, most likely will be done in the last year, next year, if there's any street that's not completely done.
Excuse me, Jack, I have a question.
Sure.
I spoke with some neighbors on Leeds and they reported some cracking.
Right.
And I was told, I thought I understood that those cracks on Leeds were to be repaired in this turn as well.
The repairs will be made, but it's not part of this contract. The repairs will be made as a secondary kind of repair. Crack fill or repair like that. It's not a whole, crack fill's a separate thing. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Make a motion to sign the contract.
Okay, I second. Okay, have a roll call.
All right, Mark Sirks,
Yes.
Alan Greenberg,
Yes.
Jack Sandler.
Yes.
Chester Trubinsky,
Yes.
Wayne Baruch.
Yes. Just like that.
Sure. All right. Good evening, everyone. I am updating you about stop sign heights. If you were at a prior meeting, 1 or 2 meetings ago, or zoomed in, we had talked about our changing the stop sign heights throughout the Greenbriar part of the community. In many cases, they are way too low. And as our vehicles are getting a little bit taller, we need to get them into the right height compliance, which is 7 feet off the ground. There was a gentleman here, and I don't know if he's here tonight, who had suggested instead of replacing all the poles that we purchase an extender. Is that person here by any chance? Thank you so much. We bought an extender, we tried it, and it worked really well. So thank you. So that's been installed. So if you want to see where it is, it's on the corner of Newcastle at Dawson. I guess, yeah, Newcastle at Dawson.
No, Brighton at Dawson.
Not on Bright.
Oh, no, it's Dawson.
Yeah, this says Brighton on the sheet. Yeah, so Newcastle at Dawson. So that went really well. We're evaluating all the different poles and posts around the Greenbriar section. And we will do our best to keep the cost down as we raise the signs. So we'll report back on that as we move forward in coming meetings.
The next thing we're going to talk about is a policy for electric vehicle charging. Personally, a year or so ago, I didn't think electric vehicles were going to make their way to our demographic so quickly, but it's coming. Whether you almost like it or not, the industry is switching over. to electric vehicles. More of them are being made by the big three car makers and the foreign car makers. So we have to respond. The concern of the Community Homeowners Association is 99% aesthetics. You don't want these devices to affect the overall look of our community, which is why we're stepping in with a policy here and now before it's too late. We did have one homeowner put in a unit that was done in a way that we didn't feel fit the aesthetic. We talked to him, he's modifying it. Essentially, what takes place in your garage is of no concern of ours. So anything that you do that's inside your garage, we're fine with. If it's ugly and cheap and junky, we don't care. Obviously, if you're gonna, there are different ways to charge these cars. If you do it at 110 volts, like you have in your house now, you can do it, but it'll take you a very long time and probably is not as cost effective as doing it at the higher voltages. In order to do it at higher voltages, you need to have an electrician do it because they have to go behind the panel. You don't really belong in there. But again, that's between you and the township in terms of the permitting process. But we do have a say in the aesthetics, and that's what this thing addresses. I did request that this policy be emailed to everybody, and now we're going to vote on it shortly, but and I'm going to pass the mic over to Chester, who did the work on this. Chester? Oh. Oh, okay. Well, I wanted Chester to talk about in general what the thinking was that went into this. Chester and Alan Hermely, I think Wayne participated too, if I'm not mistaken. But Chester and Alan Hermely of the community, I don't see him here, so I don't know if he's here. Maybe he's on. He's here? Oh, okay, okay, I didn't see him.
He's hiding.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Alan. Both of them worked quite diligently on this. They went and visited a Tesla dealer. They kicked the tires. They made believe they were going to buy one. Then they changed their mind and walked out. But they got the lay of the land from this. So I thought I would now have Chester discuss it, and apparently we have to read it into the minutes. And I would like, if anybody wants, this would be the time, if anybody in the community wants to speak up about anything that's in here, now would be the time to do it because we're going to vote on it. And then it becomes, in cement. All right, so hang on. So Chester's going to talk a little bit about it, but why don't you queue up and then you can ask questions. Yes.
If you have questions, you just have to go to the microphone because everyone on Zoom will not be able to hear you.
I believe it went out with the minutes. I saw it came in my copy with the with the agenda. It didn't go to.
I think there's only four.
Oh.
It did. It went out with the agenda on Thursday. It's an attachment. It went out, the reminder for the meeting went out earlier in the week. And then it went out again on Thursday with an attachment.
Okay. It's not a big deal. When you hear it, if you have any questions, you could step up and ask about it. I believe it did get emailed out to everybody, but it's not controversial. I don't think you'll find it controversial, but I did want the community to have an opportunity to opine on it before we slam the hammer on it and moved on. And if we find as time moves on that things are changing in this whole EV environment, we've got to make modifications. We could do that. So, all right. So Chester, you want to speak about what went into this?
Well, basically, I don't know if you can all hear me here. Okay. Basically, we started to look at it a few months back, tried to develop a policy that would provide maximum flexibility to the homeowner. If you wanted to put the charger in your garage fully, bring the cable under the door, that was fine. Just remembering the doors coming down multiple times a day on this electrical cable. So we looked further into the internet and we found on Amazon a device that could be slid under the door, anchored in place. The cable could lie in that track. And then when the cable wasn't in the track, the there was a way to close it so the rodents don't find a passageway into your garage and ultimately into your house. The other alternative was to put an outlet on your side of your house, either the full hardwired charging unit. And for the homes that are freestanding, we felt that it wouldn't be terribly unsightly to add the charging unit on the side of the house where the electrical panel, the gas meter, the Comcast hookup, and sometimes a generator sits. So what's an extra couple of feet of black electrical cable? So we looked in that possibility. And then the third possibility, which we include in the policy, was to simply put a 110 or 20 or 120, 240 volt outlet on the side of your house if you had that type of structure. And the idea was you could have a removable cable. Your choices with the EV charging is a hardwired system where you get the box and you get 25 feet of cable. And that's what Tesla offers. And they also offer removable cable. Basically, you plug it into the outlet, you charge your car, you disconnect it from the outlet, you throw it in your trunk, and that way it's available at a later time to charge if you so need it. The key here was two things that had us concerned. One was the aesthetics, 25 feet of cable on something that looks like a black shoebox. We didn't want to see that on the front of our homes. And then the second thing is really safety. You have this 25-foot cable. We were concerned that it could represent a tripping hazard. It could become an obstacle for lawn service if it was inadvertently left in the grass. It could be a problem during the winter if we had a 2 or 3 inch snowfall and then the crews came around and cable was lying there. So in the policy, we talk about taking the cable, if it's a detachable one, off at the end of the charging cycle. And if it's a hardwired system, we ask that you coil it back up and hang it on the unit. And the Tesla unit very cleverly has a place where you loop the cable over the box. So basically, we then stumbled upon, I guess, for those of us who watch This Old House, we stumbled upon a induction charging system. So this is basically a plate on the floor. When you pull your car over it, and the car has certain hardware installed on it, and quote, it's basically that. You park your car over it, and you walk away, and it's charged. We just ask that you install this if you go that route in your garage and not try to put it in your driveway. Maybe somewhere in the far future, that will be the way it will be done. There'll be plates in Home Depot or in Walmart parking lots where you can pull your car over it. But for right now, most people, I suspect, will be pulling the cable out and plugging it in. So that pretty much summarizes the work that was done by the site review people in getting this policy together.
So before we can vote on this, the policy has to be read. I'm going to be reading it. Please bear with me for 3 to 4 minutes, okay? Up to 5. Okay. So this is the Greenbriar Whittingham GWCA electric vehicle charging unit policy. Number 1, all changes to the exterior of the houses in the community, including installation of EV power charging units, must be approved by the site review committee before installation is undertaken. 2, residents must complete an architectural modification application for approval by the committee. The manufacturer of the charging unit, voltage requirements of the unit, and the type of unit, level 1 and level 2 mobile connectors, level 2 hardwired wall connector, or wireless inductive charging unit must be included with the application. 3, the EV charging unit policy applies to charging of full electric vehicles as well as hybrid vehicles. 4, the resident is required to apply to the Monroe Township Building Department for a building permit consistent with the approved architectural modification application. 5, the resident may select any manufacturer for their charging unit. 6, charging unit location. A, for homes that are not attached. 1, for level 1 and level 2 mobile connectors, the 120 volt or 240 volt electric outlet must be placed either inside the garage or outside on the same side of the house as the electric meter. The detachable cable must not remain connected to the outlet when not in use and must be stored inside the garage, in the car, or on a cable organizer adjacent to the electric outlet. For level 2 hardwired wall connectors, the unit must be placed either inside the garage or outside on the same side of the house as the electric meter. If the charging unit is outside, the cable must be stored off the ground on a cable organizer adjacent to the wall connector. For wireless inductive charging, the power supply and the ground assembly, the induction pad, must be installed inside the garage. B, for homes that are attached. For level 1 and level 2 mobile connectors, the 120 volt or 240 volt electric outlet must be placed either inside the garage or, if the design of the house permits, outside on the same wall as the electrical panel. The detachable cable must not remain connected to the outlet when not in use and must be stored either inside the garage or in the car. For level 2 hardwired wall connectors, the unit must be placed inside the garage. For wireless inductive charging, the power supply and the ground assembly induction pad must be installed inside the garage. And finally, number 7, if the power cable runs under the garage door, it is advised that the cable be protected from the weight of the door. One example of a product that protects the cable under the garage door is a brand called Undor. It's only one example, which can be purchased on the internet. Note, the homeowner is not required to use this particular product and may choose the product of their choice to protect their cable. Okay.
Number 1 again. Okay, does anybody wish to ask questions, comment on, complain about, whatever?
Please come
Step
up to the mic. Please
microphone.
come up to the mic. No, you need
No,
to
no,
hear
it's-
you on Zoom. Can't hear when, so name and address, please.
And anybody who's on Zoom that wants to type in a question?
Okay, is there a button?
So Joe Fani, 11B Rutland, has anybody considered that the devices, receptacles, plugs and cords be UL listed? And that the installation has to be in accordance with the New Jersey Electric Code?
That's part of the permitting process. When they permit with the township will specify those items. Theoretically, the electrician already knows those items, will show the township what the electrician is planning to put in, and the township will either approve or disapprove. When they come back and look, if the guy has not put in the proper devices that meet code, they'll be dealt with at that time. Yes, you lived on Rutland Road. This policy applies to the Greenbriar community. I imagine we can't speak to the conditions of the Whittingham community because we don't even know the layout of the properties. So this really
That's immaterial
addresses.
to location, but I think that
No,
we should have the responsibility regarding having a minimum criteria. And instead of leaving it, it may be beneficial to add those 2 little secondary comments.
sir,
That's-
the WOA board is placing, and I'm interrupting, I apologize.
Go ahead.
The WOA board will be discussing this at its next agenda meeting. Your comments, that's why it's important that you're here with your name and
Well,
address.
2 different sets of rules to the location.
No, I would imagine
Okay.
that the rules will wind up being the same. That's the purpose of our trying to do these things. But we will be discussing it. Your comments will be noted. We will, if we need to, discuss it
Okay.
with our colleagues on the
Thank you.
Greenbriar board. Not a problem.
Go ahead.
WOA Site Review Committee is going to be meeting and discussing at length for Whittingham whether to how to write up these rules. We've been very fortunate. We've only in existence since January, but we were fortunate that Chess is on our committee. So I don't want you to think, because there's different issues for the condos, but we will have it, and we will have it as soon as possible. We will provide it to the community ahead of time before so you can see if you have any questions for the condo section.
Now they can have their meeting back.
Anybody else want to be heard? Go ahead, Marty.
Excuse me.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have.
Sorry. Yeah, Marty Levine, 26 Westminster Drive. I should have brought up a little earlier, but has anybody been in touch with PSE&G?
And they're not our.
So they're not going to be, they're
JCP&L.
not going to be redoing the gas lines under our streets?
It's JCP&L.
Ja-
No, gas, sorry.
PSE&G, they have a
Sorry, I
program in
apologize.
Middlesex County. If you take a look at Half Acre Road, you can see what a disaster it is after they tear up the road. So if they had planned on doing it here, rather than do the repaving now, you would wait until they do that, and then you could get some of the money back from them to pay for our repaving, because they wouldn't have to pay for doing it. And so I was just asking about that. And then the second thing, which is a little more important, I think we should have an open bar at these meetings.
Yeah,
So in the course of developing this policy, I reached out to engineers at JCP&L and First Energy, the parent company of JCP&L, who provides our electricity. We talked about demand and how the whole process works. So the reason that it's really important that you get an electrical permit, besides protecting your home from fire and electrical problems, is that when the electrical subcode official gets the permit application, it also goes to JCP&L so that they can monitor our usage and make sure that our transformers throughout the community are properly sized, planned for, and provide for upgrades and so on.
anybody else have a comment? I know Marty's comment had nothing to do with electric vehicles. I don't know why he was up there. Anybody on Zoom have a comment? Okay,
Good evening, Tom Clark, 74B Winthrop Road. I appreciate the fact that the policy has been placed in the back of the room, so people had an opportunity to read it and review it. I would just ask that the board consider in the future, when the agendas are being mailed out to the residents, this policy be attached at the same time, so we have a little bit more time. Some homeowners who may be actively looking at doing this may really want to have a little bit of time to examine.
It was attached when the agenda went out on Thursday. We
I
we
did
just
not-
checked the email on the phone. It was
I
attached.
did not see it. I'm sorry. I did not see it. But is that a policy to send that out all the time? Because I've never seen it before.
It depends on what it is. The Greenbriar board specifically asked that I send it out this time, so I sent it out
Right.
on Thursday.
Maybe that's right. Okay, thank you.
anybody on Zoom have a question that we see? Okay. Okay, I thought she might be stepping up. False alarm. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the Greenbriar board adopt this EV policy. Roll call,
Mark Zerks,
yes?
Alan Greenberg,
Yes.
Jack Sandler, Chester Trubinsky, Wayne Brew.
Okay, motion is passed. I think I can go home and catch Jeopardy.
Now it's in my hand. First item of WOA business was an update on the electronic voting. 87 rejection ballots were received. That was meant that the amendment has passed. So what this means is that the details on how to opt to get electronic notice and electronic voting will be sent out to all of our homeowners. In-person voting will remain an option. So it should be fine. a condo paving update. Who's talking about the paving update? You doing that, Jamie? Please.
So as I mentioned briefly, it's scheduled to begin the week of August 7th. If your driveway has been paved in the last 6 or 7 years, you're not going to be scheduled this time around. However, there are some driveways that are scheduled for seal coating because the condition was good and we want to prolong the useful life. So you'll get an individual notice letting you know that your driveway is going to be paved. Then the entire community will get a notice advising where people should be parking for overflow and things of that nature. Of course, during this time, paving for both the condos and Greenbriar, you can pave in the town center lot, in the upper lot over by the bus stop. So more details to follow, but that is the current weather permitting start date.
And our outdoor pool hours have changed. We will be having for Tuesdays and Thursdays, the new hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I did receive emails regarding that, notices to all residents about the changes in the hours. If you did not receive them, please let the office know and they will be pleased to send a copy to you so that you have them. And I believe they are posted at the pool as well. I've updated or outdated and required updating. These new rules are consistent with the Greenbriar pet rules. So we're all doing the same thing in the same community. Gail, would you read the pet rules? Do you have the copy, please? If I don't. Page 15. Doesn't have 15. You have 15. Should read it. Here. Thank you.
The existing rules and the change.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody, this is the current Whittingham rules. 1 to 2 pets, only 1 domestic pet is allowed per home and shall be registered with the Board of Trustees. Dogs and cats shall not be permitted to run free at any time. Pets must be kept on a 6-foot maximum length of leash at all times. Pet droppings must be picked up and disposed of in an appropriate trash receptacle. Pets shall not be walked between buildings, rear or side yards, dog houses, other shelters, or the keeping of pets in crawl spaces is prohibited. And this is the change. All pets must meet Monroe Township legal and licensing requirements. No more than 2 dogs or cats in the aggregate shall be permitted in any home. And right here, this is in bold, so I'll read that one more time. No more than 2 dogs or cats in the aggregate shall be permitted in any home. In no event shall outdoor pens or runs be permitted. All owners and their guests, invitees, agents, and others who allow or permit their pet and or animal in their charge to defecate upon the grounds of the property shall immediately thereafter remove from the grounds of the property any and all excrement, this is lovely said, left by the pet or animal and dispose of it as soon as possible in a sanitary fashion. All owners, guests, invitees, agents, and others shall accompany the pet or animal in their charge at all times. They shall keep the pet on a leash when it is not on the owner's property and shall carry with them at such time devices necessary to remove the pet excrement, which removal shall be done immediately. In other words, carry a bag. Pets shall be registered with the Association Management Office. Pets shall not be permitted to run freely at any time. Pets must be kept on a maximum 6-foot leash at all times. Any person walking or accompanying a pet shall carry a means of picking up the droppings to dispose of them as required herein. Outdoor pet pens or runs are not permitted. Invisible fences are not permitted. Pet droppings must be immediately removed and disposed of in a sanitary fashion by pet's walker. Animal droppings shall be disposed of in a garbage receptacle at the walker's home or unit. This is very important now. Throwing pet droppings into any catch basin or on the ground in the community shall be a serious violation of the rules. Dog houses or other shelters are prohibited.
Before the board moves to adopt, does anyone have any questions regarding the pet rules? Microphone, please. Thank you.
No problemo.
Turn it on.
Carmine
Now
Campanella,
turn mine
80
on.
Leeds Lane. Two questions to the board about the balloting. I know this is early, but there was a time schedule they used to be used for the mailing of the ballots.
Valid question. This point right now is about the pet rules. So hold that.
I'm sorry.
Hold it for the open.
Would you please hold it for open forum and we will be pleased to discuss that. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone have pet rules questions? Pet rules.
Ken Salinger, 46 Westminster Drive. Two questions.
Sure.
If there is a violation of these pet rules, what is the penalty or the fine, if any?
Jamie answers fine question.
So for WOA, oh no, I just closed the Zoom. Bear with me. Your question is still in my mind. Oh no, here it is. Sorry about that. Okay. So it is. It's $10 per occurrence. You can also have your barcode and your ID card suspended, which is loss of privileges to all the amenities. So it really depends. If you're a repeat offender, they can certainly accelerate those things, but the first offense is usually a $10 fine.
The second question I have, and again, neither the Greenbriar board or the WOA board are involved in the golf course. What if people allow their dogs or cat, whatever it is, to go on the golf course? Is that going to be penalized, or is that a separate issue with the golf board?
And the golf board will tend to, I'm sorry. I would imagine the golf board will tend to that. That is, they are a separate corporation. They have their responsibility is the golf course, and they will do that.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Walking.
Thank you. I'm Kathy Dodano, 31 Leeds. I also have a second residence, 48C Winthrop also. I am a former pet owner. I did lose my dog recently. But what I find here that I see in other developments are receptacles that are put along the paths for people to throw their waste out. And it's extremely helpful because unfortunately, people lose it. I'll be kind first. And then let's be real, some people just don't want to carry it. And so unfortunately, they drop it. And as I've been walking my pet in the past, I've noticed that often. So receptacles would be extremely useful and relatively inexpensive.
We've actually thought about those, but the problem is that it takes a fair amount of time to maintenance. Somebody has to go around and replenish the bags and empty the used bags. We just don't have anybody to do this.
So
Yeah, we would have no place to even put such a thing in the Greenbriar community because we don't have property to place such a device on. We looked at it and it just, people have to just carry their own home.
Okay, the WOA board, to my knowledge, has not discussed this at all. I would believe that we will. Let's see what conclusions we come up to, and if we think it is feasible, we would have a discussion with the Greenbriar board about it and see if there was something that could be done. And it is not part of these rules, so these rules are what we're adopting tonight. Anything else would come under a separate rule. But I thank you for your comments. Sure.
Great, thank you.
Miriam. A couple questions on Zoom. The first one was who enforces the pet rules? I see many, I'm assuming dogs being walked without a leash. I see many areas where droppings are being left. My response is to, if you see someone walking their dog off leash, or if you can identify, my neighbor walks by every day at 6 a.m. and they don't clean up after their pet. If you alert security, they absolutely will come around. They can take a picture. They can help us identify who it is, and then we can address it that way. We can stop them right then and there. Also, if you know it's your neighbor, or it's the person down the street. We had someone coming to the town center parking lot every day, driving here, walking their dog, letting the dog go to the bathroom, and then driving away. So we had to do our own detective work here at the clubhouse. So you're not alone, and it is frustrating. It takes a little bit of effort, but we will get to the bottom of it. The next question was, how do you prevent owners from having their pets urinate on lawns? That's a two-part question. I'm a dog owner. I'm a responsible dog owner. I have lived in apartments and condos where I had to walk my pets, and you do your best. You walk them in your area first, but you can't really tell an animal when it's going to go to the bathroom and when it's not. So I always recommend, especially if you live in a single family home, that you walk your pet on your own property first and try to let them do their business. The walk is for exercise. And that's, if they can do their business before the walk, then that's great. There's a rule to curb your pet. Your pets shouldn't be walking all over your neighbor's lawns. You can certainly walk your dogs on sidewalks or grass common areas in the community. There's a beautiful dog park across the street. There's beautiful shady paths in Thompson Park. It's not always possible. So you bring a bag, you do what you can to be a responsible pet owner. So unfortunately, you can't always prevent it, but people do their best, I think, in most cases.
Going to. The microphones are supposed to go off when we're not using them, on when we're using them. It doesn't quite seem to be working that way all the time. And I want a course in microphone use, obviously, on many places. All right. Any more comments from anyone in the audience here? There are no more comments on Zoom. So seeing and hearing none, I would like to call for a motion to adopt the pet rules. Please.
Motion to adopt.
May I have a second? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Miriam Cohen.
Yes.
Tom Cole.
Yes.
Gail Alpern. Karen Schoenberg. Jay Ressler. Surjit Sandhu. Larry Rosen.
The next item on our agenda was supposed to be the speed camera. Several members of our board had some questions about the speed camera after our executive session discussing it. So after conversations back and forth, it is tabled until next month's meeting. Removed. I'm going to ask for a motion to table, please. Thank you. May I have a second on that? Thank you. May I have a roll call vote on that, please?
Miriam Cohen.
Yes.
Tom Cole.
Yes.
Gail Alpern.
Yes.
Karen Schoenberg. Jay Ressler. Surjit Sandhu. Larry Rosen.
So that motion is tabled till the next meeting. We have a joint business update. Who's talking first on the merger update? Lights on.
Am I glad I didn't have to read the pet rules? Because this also is going to draw some attention. Let me take everybody back in a little bit of history. Miriam, myself, Mark, and Alan started meeting just for the purpose, and this goes back to early winter. We started talking about how we can get the boards together to move forward, what things might get in the way. Can we iron any of that out before we presented it to both boards? We met a couple of times. We did come to an understanding, and then we presented it to both boards. The WOA board tasked me with the responsibility of moving WOA forward. And we had quite an interesting meeting. There was a lot of back and forth. We did come to an understanding of how we can move forward. The specifics of that are yet to come, but by and large, we have come to an agreement. And some of the things that we talked about tonight, like the pet rules and things like that, will all be solved and simplified by us merging the boards. The one major agreement that we came to is there will be 9 board members. And we discussed the breakdown of that. Everyone will be properly as they are now. Whittingham will be part of it. And WOA will be part. And Greenbriar will be part. But of course, it'll all be merged into one. At that point, we all agreed to turn everything over to our attorneys. Our attorney has gotten it and came up with their or her reasons for why this should be done and how it should be done. And took a look at the bylaws primarily. There's a lot of bylaws that have to be updated, upgraded, and they have to conform with each other. So that's a big portion of it. Our attorney has completed the review, and I understand tonight from Mark that Greenbriar has an update on that. So Mark, if you would.
So what we're talking about at the meetings that were held with Tom and myself and Alan and Miriam, and then ultimately with the full board members, we hammered out subtleties, issues, questions, how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that? I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with that stuff right now, because the plan is once we are ready to go and move forward with it, we're going to hold meetings and explain to the community, many meetings on Zoom and live, explaining to the community how the new setup's going to work. And some of it is, you know, underneath the level of what you normally see. For instance, we'll have one covenants committee take of all the covenants and ADR issues. We'll have one site review committee instead of the 2 site review committees. Those will all be combined into one. As Tom indicated, we're going to have a 9-member board. 3 of those positions will be held by folks who reside in the Whittingham community. 6 of those positions will be held by people living in the Greenbriar community. And again, the details of it will be explained to the community. As far as where we're at now, so an initial draft of the plan, bylaws of the combined entity was created, and the attorneys went back and forth. And if you look at the actual draft, you see modifications and crossouts made by one attorney. See, they don't white out, they don't delete anything. They put a line through it and they're saying, I'm suggesting we don't include this. If you agree, take it out. If you disagree, leave it there and we'll talk about it. So this very ugly looking document with a lot of lines through it and red letters and green letters and blue letters are there. And the Greenbriar Board Attorney has completed his review of that document. He and I had a phone conversation discussing a few very minor items that I thought he had not quite gotten what we were thinking. I said, and so he's going to make those changes. Then he's going to ship that document, this mocked up doctor document, back to the WOA attorney who originally prepared it. And they're then going to agree to then turn that into the finished product where all the lined out stuff will be gone, all the new stuff will begin. Perhaps prior to that, the board is going to meet with our attorney to discuss those matters, but certainly after the attorneys and the two boards will meet. And
Anytime.
yeah, we'll meet, probably in August. But the goal is, Tom, I don't know if you laid out the timeframe. The goal is to have that document completed and ready. It'll be then presented to the community. We will hold classroom style Q&As with the attorneys, sometimes without the attorneys mostly. And then it'll be up to the community to vote yay or nay on it at that point. So we're anticipating what? You said spring.
I'm targeting, we're trying to target late spring when everyone comes back from their southern trips. And so everyone can be here to vote on it and get all the information. And then it looks as though shortly thereafter, we'll be having another election for all new board members. So we have this election this year, we'll have another one next year for all new members. That's the plan.
Okay. If anybody,
Because,
go ahead.
no, I'm just, for general, we have two different quorum requirements. WOA's quorum requirements and votes for passage is different from Greenbriar's. We're actually going to have three because Whittingham will be voting as well, so that everyone will be getting an opportunity to express their opinion through their vote. So can we please, everyone know when the voting comes, all of your participation is vital to getting done what we've talked about for so long.
The finished entity will be all reconciled. So the requirements for quorum and everything else that takes place will be the same throughout the community. We won't have this differences, and that's what we're looking to iron out. If anybody has any questions about the process, not the content, you can come up
Mark,
now.
if I can add just one thing, because everybody's always concerned about this. The monies stay the same. There's no merging of monies, no matter what we do.
Debbie Harback 69B Winthrop. Simple question. How many condos versus houses are there? In other words, Greenbriar versus Whittingham.
13 in the condos.
Okay, then why is the breakdown of the board not representative of that?
How to use the microphone.
It's impossible to break it down to the perfect percentage. And having 7 would be too few. Having 11 or 12 on a permanent basis would be too many board members. So the boards discussed this, and we came across the fact that 9 was as close as you can get to the proportion, to the ratio that you're referring to.
But the 6 versus 3 is my question.
Well, so 6 is 66%, and the 3 is
It is?
33%, right?
It's a math teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, no, then I misunderstood the breakdown of the houses versus condos because it
Yeah.
seems so far off.
Right. 6.
Can you tell me what that breakdown is again? I'm sorry.
So you have 3 Whittingham representatives.
No, I mean the number of houses.
413 condos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jamie's saying no.
413.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought he said, yes, 413.
413 and 1,194 privately owned homes in the
Okay,
Greenbriar
I
section.
misunderstood. Thank you.
Okay, we went through this concept. We're trying to get it as fair as possible, and it's impossible to get it to the exact percentage.
Can I add
It's
something?
fair. It's very fair. Okay.
Can I add something to this, please? nothing that we said tonight is cast in granite. We came to a general understanding. There's an awful lot of details that'll have to be discussed over the next however months it is. And everyone will be kept in the loop as we move along as to exactly what the breakdowns are, who is doing what boards are going to, or what committees are going to merge, all that sort of thing. Tonight's announcement wasn't to get into that kind of detail. So if you'll be patient, please, we'll get to all of the detail at future meetings.
Carmine Campanella, 80 Lee's Lane. Two-fold question. You're talking about having the decision in the spring. Okay? If the vote is passed, okay, at what point from the time that the vote is passed do you have an election? What's the time frame? In other words, what I'm getting at, if we pass the rule, pass the change today, that means tomorrow, we're now going to go from 12 to 9. Who picks and chooses that 9 for the temporary, for the time being?
Carmine, as I said before, the election of the new board, which will be for the new corporation, that will take place after the vote for after everybody approves
So you're going to
the
have
fact that
12
we're doing. We will have another vote after the vote for the merger.
Okay, so you're going to have 12 people or whoever running for 9 positions.
Now we're going to have a whole new vote,
Well, whoever, I'm
whole
saying,
new vote.
a whole new vote. So taking both boards right now, you have 12. And assuming nobody else runs, the 12 of you are going to run against each other.
Well,
So we're going to pick and choose.
Carmine, that's a
who's
big
behind.
if. That's a big if. We're way ahead of where we're.
Well, I understand that. Okay. that's what I-
It'll be a whole new election, just like this one with WOA that's coming up, where people will fill out, if they want to run,
Right,
they'll fill out an application to run,
okay.
and then we'll have a new election.
All right, I
a
just
whole new
wanted to
board.
check, at what point and who is going to run. In other words, who's picking and choosing? At this point, the
whole
membership-
community
the whole
picks and
community is
chooses.
picking and choosing. That's all.
Unity's that vote.
Ken Salinger, 46 Westminster Drive. If I understood you correctly, there's going to be no merging of money. Am I correct?
That's correct.
All right. Then the question I have is what's going to happen when you have a new 9-member board? Who's running which budget? Or are the budgets going to be combined?
No.
Have the budgets set up just as they are right now. There'll be no change. Right now, Greenbriar money is separate from Whittingham money, which is separate from WOA money. So if a project took place in Greenbriar, Greenbrier's budget would pay for it. If something happened in Whittingham, Whittingham's money, 3 sub accounts from the major account. The controller has done this all along and will continue to do it.
What I don't understand is if you're going to be one entity, am I correct? A single entity with no, hold on, Mark, let me finish. All right, a single entity with 9 board members. But how will there be a Greenbriar versus Whittingham? I mean, it just, it doesn't make sense to
You have to
me.
wait for more details.
Ken,
You have to wait for more details.
Ken, can we please table this for now? This was the whole purpose of this meeting.
So you want to table it?
But-
Okay, fair enough.
So that we can get to the rest of this meeting.
Things all to think about and make think about.
We,
Anyone else? Mark, If we have no more discussion about the joint business update and the merger update, we'll move to committee updates from Greenbriar, please, Mark.
I don't think we have anything. Yeah,
No,
I don't
all's
think we have
quiet.
anything. Site review have anything?
We can't hear you. Need your microphone green.
Yeah, I can just give you a
Okay.
very brief update on site review committee activity, for June and July. For the month of June, we processed 28 applications. We did 14 inspections. The month of July, we did 17 applications and 16 inspections. Basically, the applications cover roof, a little bit of everything. Still getting quite a number of roofs. We're refurbishing our decks that are now 20, 25 years old, and patios are being improved upon. Some driveway work. We're even painting our front door using the 14 previously approved colors. And we put some awnings out to keep us out of the sun. So that's pretty much it.
I have a,
Yeah.
okay.
For covenants, we had an issue of an installation of a front door that the design was not approved by site review. We had an issue related to a fence that had some insect infestation and decided on, or the committee decided on both issues accordingly, according to bylaws and policies.
And for newcomers in June, on June 15th, we had a newcomers event. We had 20 residents here. Residents could be considered either homeowners or renters. We do an event typically once a quarter, so our next event will be sometime in the fall, date yet to be determined.
And those events are for Greenbriar new Greenbriar residents and new Whittingham residents are being at these newcomers meetings. And they're really amazing meetings. They're really well done.
So you're handing this back to me temporarily? Okay. Very good. Back to me. All right. We have the WOA Budget and Finance. Have anything they wish to report on this evening? No?
The Budget Committee, Budget and Finance Committee is meeting next week. And we have scheduled meetings for the committee for several weeks after that. And August the 3rd.
That was the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. August the 5th.
Yes. So I just wanted to let everybody know that we're working on this year's budget and we will be meeting with the committee. It's very valuable to us.
As I'm looking, thank you, Karen. As I'm looking at Stephanie to my left, sitting there very quietly. Stephanie is Sean's right-hand person in the budget, in the finance office, and she always sits quietly at the meetings, gathering information and reporting back when Sean can't, even when Sean is here. I don't know if everyone was aware of that. So I outed her. She was so happy.
Sean is also on via Zoom,
Yeah.
so he's listening in.
Yeah, so just wanted to do that. Sean? Can't even see him anymore. Covenants Committee? We had no report. Entertainment Committee, Gil.
Michelle basically gave you an overview. Just to repeat that the past is wonderful, meaning we just had a show July 16th, sold out, August 20th, ABBA sold out, and now the Beatles. So those of you who would like to attend, that's September 29th at 7 p.m. Just remember that because we normally have it on Sunday afternoon. But this particular one, we're doing it, it's a trial. See how many people would prefer, or we're going to do it in tandem. Sometimes it'll be on a Sunday afternoon. Sometimes it'll be on Friday night. So again, it's Friday night, September 29th at 7 p.m. called the Beatles, which is a Beatles tribute group. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you.
Say that again. It goes on sale August the 3rd. Goes on sale August 3rd.
Landscape? Any report this evening, yea, nay? Okay. Safety Committee, which has been so verbal. There you go.
we don't have much to say other than what Alan so eloquently said at our last meeting. We have a number of things going on, but one of the reasons that we tabled the speed camera is that we want to come up with a complete policy as to not only the fines that are involved, but the location, how often we move it, what the speeds will be set at, all that type of thing, which will happen at the safety meeting this coming Thursday. I would like to say, we have had a committee that's really worked very hard and done some very good things. So if I could, I'd like to just mention the names of the people. First, our co-chairs, Joan Fariola and Alan Greenberg, and then our members who have all participated, Joni Kaiser, Mark Lindell, James McNulty, Melinda Sy, Cheryl Saft, and Richard Silverman. I just wanted to give everybody a big thank you because they have really, we're kind of coming to the end, but they've done a great job.
As usual, we had a meeting this month. We had one new application, which we actually approved. And then we had 7 people signed to go to inspect. But we're up to date with everything, and I'm very pleased with our committee. Thank you. And so I want to acknowledge them. Thank you.
Town center. Lolly, do you want to chat tonight? Okay.
I got it. Got it. As long as everybody's acknowledging their committee people, I'd like to acknowledge mine because they are very, very industrious in their thoughts, and we had a good meeting. The restaurant, of course, was part of it, and the last part was a selection of fabrics for the new chairs and possible carpet for the all-purpose room in the back by the nurse's office. At first, we said, nah, we don't need that. But the chairs do have to be replaced. So we're putting in our suggestions for the colors. Jamie had given us the selections. I felt that the carpeting was not needed, but as long as we are going to replace everything, we might as well do the carpets. So that room will really look beautiful. Other than that, that's it. That's it.
Not a bad morning's work. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I left out Gail's second committee landscape. Sorry.
That's okay, no problem. Landscape Committee meets at the end of every month. We're going to be meeting at the end of this week again. Many of you might think the area behind the guardhouse, which is basically rock and has some begonias. Those red flowers, by the way, are begonias. They're around the community. And when they came out at first, my thoughts were, oh my God, the begonias are so little. But it's not true anymore. The begonias are blooming and they look really good. There is a lot of rock there, and we are planning to put rose bushes there along with another thing called cat mint. That was a new word for me. It's going to be very pretty. Whenever we do things and you don't see it when you want to see it, it's for a good reason. Landscaping can only be put in at certain times of the year, otherwise it burns. You realize how hot it's been? No matter how much you water, new plants will die. As we get more toward the fall, we can add other things. As we know, around the October time when we have our mums, that's going to come to also. But if, as I said, if it's not, doesn't seem to be timely, don't worry, it's coming. And we're working diligently to make sure it's very pretty.
Thank you. Where are the rose bushes going?
They're going to be going down the island, which now looks like tan rock,
Actually, I think it's white.
white rock, behind the guardhouse.
We're going to move to open forum. Those of you who wish to address the board, please come forward. Your back, your name and address for our records, Carmine. And a reminder for everyone, please, there is a 3-minute time limit.
Miriam.
Oh, I'm sorry, Larry.
I'm a member.
Wait, Carmine, stay there, but wait.
Just before we go to open forum, I just want to bring up something. When this community was built, the tennis was the go-to thing. But as we all know, pickleball has been increasing in popularity. The tennis group and the pickleball group have gotten together. They've worked together, and they're going to be repurposing court 3 for dual use. They're cooperating, and I just want to let everyone know that. Thank you. And I just want to know that I was really glad they cooperated. Tom Cole worked with me and the group, and we accomplished it. And I just want to thank the guys that are members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You finally have your turn now.
Okay, I am a member of the site review committee. And I know when new members come in, they have an orientation. But recently, we've had incidences where new members have come in and did some modifications without asking for approvals or application approvals, okay? I think we need to emphasize that when new members come in, you just cannot give them a website and say, these are the rules. In the past was even worse. They gave you a 10-pound book that you had to read, okay? A new resident that comes in, his one priority is unpacking and moving in. He's not, his second priority, the next priority is not looking at, his first priority is not looking at a website to find out what the rules are. But I think during the orientation, we need to emphasize that the number one thing, one of the first things is that if you're going to do any modifications, you must get approval. Because that's not happening. We're having incidences almost every month where somebody comes in and changes the siding on the wall, on the door, on the house, or they go in and they paint their doors and shutters a different color. So we need to do something to emphasize during the orientation that that's a main priority. And that has to be taken care of immediately.
Carmine, I discussed this at length with Chester and Alan Hermele and with Jamie as well. I reviewed the process that Jamie goes through now. When I say now, because it's very different from what I went through when I came here, and April Shower did that process with me of introducing me to the community. Jamie has a more organized PowerPoint presentation that she goes through, and it's really, really quite extensive. And while this topic is included in it, it does get lost among the myriad of items that Jamie has to go over with the community. I went through the PowerPoint that she does page by page, and I go, yeah, that's good, that's good, that's good. And at the end of the day, there's so much material coming at newcomers that it's easy for them to have been told something and forget it very shortly thereafter.
I'm not belittling the orientation committee that's doing it. I'm just saying the priorities have to be changed.
Well, there's a lot of material in the presentation, and each one is really important. What we did do, what we did change in this regard is that a number of years ago, I created something I called a quick start guide. It's kind of like what would come in with your computer, a big fat book and a one-page thing to let you know how to start to use the computer. And You read the one-page thing. I forwarded the quick start guide to Jamie. Michelle made some modifications, and now that quick start guide will be part of the process. The other thing Alan Hermele and I discussed was handing at that presentation, they would be handed the green architectural modifications documents. Is that what you wanted to say, Alan? Alan, I'll wait to let you say it. I see you walking away after I say it. Alan, you take over from that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Alan. Oh, I'm sorry. There's two people ahead of you. Ma'am, your name and address for the record, please.
Ruth Marcus, 20 Trent Road. You could have knocked me over with a feather when you said our road was going to finally be done, but I'm very happy to hear it. I have two complaints about it's a similar issue, and that's the gates at the security entrance. I came in the other day and there was somebody at the visitor side. I'm coming in the resident side, and both gates went up, right? The fellow had been talking to whoever was manning the gate, the visitor side. Then they just came in and went right over to the right side. Didn't look, I just hung back, just had a feeling. But you've heard this complaint many times, that both gates go up at the same time. You have to do something about that. There's gonna be really some serious accidents with that.
Let me jump in on this one too, if you don't mind. We've talked about that before, and the technology to interlock one gate so that only one can be physically open at a time is quite expensive and quite elaborate and probably prone to problems. I look at it this way, and this is why I turned on my mic, even though this is not my area of responsibility. I turned on my mic because this is what I do. As a resident, I am extremely aware, hyper aware of that issue. So when I'm at that spot in the resident side, I just simply wait out the guest. Let that guest have the right of way to do whatever they're going to do, because I know the situation that they don't know is facing us. And it costs me another 15 or 20 seconds, and I leave it to the guest. The alternative is just not practical.
The alternative is the person who is raising that gate, take a look.
Well,
and hold it.
The other gate.
That's the alternative.
The other
You
gate.
don't need an automated thing.
The other
You really
gate.
don't.
The resident side of the gate is automatic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the other one is manual. There's your difference. So, and the other thing was.
Or you can be more careful like me.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm careful. I've been here 23 years. Obviously, I'm careful. But this latest one was worst. By the way, the gate near the library has been open for 2 days or more. Oh, finally, Janie. But
We are waiting for a new.
doesn't
part-
make us feel very secure.
We are waiting for a part for the Newcastle gate.
Thank you. You're welcome. Just one thing. I agree with that young lady who said, put receptacles. There's no reason. I can't believe that you're talking how expense of what something like that.
And as
would
I
be.
answered her, the lower board will take a look at that when we discuss it in our executive session, Ruth.
Carol Cooper, Whitehall. I have suggestions. They're inexpensive and I think enhance the life of our homeowners. Number one, driving through the community with our beautiful new signs, and now you've raised them. There are branches from trees that block the street. You cannot see the street signs. I don't know who's in charge. Maybe it's the homeowner, but I think it would be a minimal charge to have our landscapers cut branches. Second thing, watch people walking in this community and you watch them go to the rounder where we have 42 clubs. You cannot see any of the flyers. They're falling over like drooping tulips. And when you finally get down to see it, you can't get up. People bend anymore. And the third thing is, and I've discussed this all the time, this community needs a phone book. There are people riding around, should have a map. I have given instructions to so many people using my map because there are still I'm not familiar with. It's $15,000. That's what Jamie said. It's worth it. You have a new community with many new people. We need a phone.
May I answer the third question, please? Third comment you made. Carol, just
Yes.
1 minute. The board began discussing, or Tom and I did, I don't even know, and we shared some of it with Jamie, that rather than spending $15,000 of woe is money on the phone book, and I miss the phone book as much as you do, we are soliciting donations from some of our vendors to help offset the cost of that phone book. This has just started. We have several vendors that have already guaranteed that they will help. And let's see how much we can collect and what that leaves us with. So that is a project that we're serious about and going to work on. And no, okay?
Okay, except that with all.
Why always an exception, Carol? Why?
Because there's never, that's not true. $15,000 is a minimal expense in a community like this where you spend $10,000 for furniture. I mean, you know, I don't have to tell you.
No, you don't. But what
Okay.
I'm saying is you make decisions, Carol, and the board made decisions to do certain things that we believed would enhance the community.
Maybe.
I'm telling you that we are going out to try to gather the money to get the phone book done.
Okay, and maybe sometimes a vote as to what people would like.
Well, that is our responsibility, you, as a board that you elect, as to make decisions about that. We try to get solicit information, certainly, but the end decision is the board's decision.
Well, I think there should always be an input. and
Well,
the-
we do ask for input,
Okay,
and you know that
okay,
as well,
Okay,
Carol.
and there's one other. thing.
Sure.
I counted, WOA has 29 sleeves in the back near the
No.
catering establishment. Yeah, I counted them
I
today.
believe you.
We have this little tiny miniature rounder, which is really unsafe and very difficult for even small people like me to get down. You can't see the flyers. They're flipping over.
So we'll discuss this with
Okay.
Monica. Jamie will discuss this with Monica, how the flyers are being managed.
You can certainly do that, but the board just voted to purchase that a few months ago.
Well-
The entertainment committee asked us to come up with a different way to display flyers. They were in those racks outside the restaurant and people felt that they were hard to see and hard to reach. So we took them over as basic information places because people don't need basic information every single day. And they requested that we put the flyers in the rounder. They're also on the website and channel 26, and the concierge could give them out. So whatever the board wants to do.
That's true, but is it possible to build a platform for that
gather not.
rounder?
I gather not. Why don't you let the board discuss it? We will see if we can alleviate the
Okay,
concerns.
it would just be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hermely, please.
Alan Hermely, 5 York Court. Mark graciously stopped talking when I came to the podium, and he's allowing me to complete a sentence. I had the opportunity to look at Jamie's extensive PowerPoint presentation, and it covers a lot of material. There is a small section on site review committee, the need to go through the process of filling out an application. As Mark started to say, I think it would help if in the handouts that Jamie gives, she just gives a copy to all the newcomers of the green application for Greenbriar at least. Because a lot of times when you hear somebody talking for an hour, it goes in, some of it goes in one ear and out the other. But having the application in their hand, I think would be helpful.
Thank you. Ken. You're back. I know, I see.
Do I have to reintroduce myself? Okay.
Okay.
Before I went away on vacation, I was at the golf course and I heard a very disturbing story from the golf people about how a visitor and his son rode all over the golf course on what he called bikes, whatever they were.
E-bikes.
And then they went to and they weren't even residents. They went to visiting their mother or mother-in-law, whatever it is. My question is, I realize that the golf board is separate and the golf course is separate, but this is part of the community and should not be allowed. What was the action taken? Was he arrested? Was he banned from the community, etc.?
I'll tell you what happened. First of all, the golf board was on site.
Yes, I know that.
Alan Cooper was there addressing directly with this gentleman what took place. The Greenbriar, but it became largely a Greenbriar matter outside of the golf course matter, which Alan was handling. I don't know how the golf board proceeded, but what the Greenbriar board did is, and I saw a video of the incident. It was terrible. The guy was just an asshole, and I think he was totally drunk. I'm not going to say any names. Yes.
Technical term.
Asshole. There's no other word for what that guy was. We wrote a very sharply worded letter to the homeowner for whom he was a guest. The homeowner herself was there while it happened. And I can tell you, she was as mortified as we are and as infuriated as we are. Jamie got a letter back from her indicating she assures it'll never happen again. She absolutely, she was in no way defending the actions of her guest. Furthermore, there was a homeowner whose property he trespassed on. That homeowner took the matter to the police department, and I believe there is something going on with regard to the police department and the township prosecutor that is ongoing. Whatever golf did in that regard, as far as bringing the trespass to the police, I don't know what that was done and where that stood, but this was dealt with forthwith.
I went away on vacation, so I
How
wasn't.
nice. Did you have a good time?
I'm sorry?
Did you have a good time?
No.
I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
Eileen, your name and address for the record, please.
Eileen Carpenter, 23A Rutland. I'm here about the floor of the locker room.
You still don't like it?
It's peeling off. It's coming off. It's clumping on my feet.
Jamie.
I'll go take a look at it.
Okay.
She'll look at it and get back to you.
Okay, I still think a rubber mat is the solution, but I don't want to argue about it.
I know it. Yes, I do know that.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to ask, what a pad to get in, not included on the door right across from the pool. Were we saving money by doing that?
You're talking about having an ID card reader?
Right.
Yes, I mean, it definitely, they're very expensive. So there's one behind the restaurant because we were able to, that's a wider door. So there's the one that is behind the restaurant to the back hallway.
But if we have a door, it should have a reader.
We can put it on the list of expenditures that everyone.
How much is a reader?
There are several $1,000s. I mean, it's
Okay.
only 10 feet from a door that does have
Well,
a reader.
okay, so here's the thing, you go swimming in the pool
right?
And then you want to go into the locker room. So now I got to walk up to the
I-
other place,
I
drip down the floor.
Well, hopefully everyone's using their towel before they drip down the hall. We do also
Okay.
have restrooms.
But
Restroom,
it's a door.
showers.
Every door should have one.
Jamie, we can look into that and
Okay,
see
thank
about
you.
purchasing one, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Oh, she's back again. Hello.
Hello.
Your name
Kathy?
again, please.
Kathy Dodano, 31 Leeds. I just want to address the issue of the speed camera policy.
We don't have it on our agenda at all.
I understand it's
So
been
comment
tabled
is fine.
for the
Yes.
next meeting, and my only concern is it possible? I think a lot of the residents don't really know it. Of being one, can we get some information in the
Sure.
prior to the next meeting? That's all.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Marty Levine, 26 Westminster.
Want
This-
to raise the mic?
Thank you, thank you. This is about the directory and not spending $15,000. Why don't we just put it online and you can download?
It is
is?
online.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. And thank you for that. So, what's that? Yeah, so everybody, so there is no need to
So
print.
Marty, it was
Right.
okay that your friend said that to you.
Well, I had to get up to protect him. Okay. thank you. I still think you should have the open bar at.
I know you do.
Alan Schwartz, 19 London Drive. I don't get up and talk about much, but what I'm talking about tonight is supporting of our board. And what people don't seem to understand is that we elect this board to do a job for us, which is run this place. And your decisions are made by who you elect to the board, and we have to remember that. And if you don't like the job that they're doing, don't reelect them. Now, the real point of it is that the board is deciding how much money we have to spend and what's the most prudent way to spend it. The problem with everybody has great ideas about what we should be doing. The problem the board has is we have X amount of dollars and the things that we have to do have gone up astronomically in cost. And that's why you elected the board, to see what the priorities are and how to spend our money the best way. And let's back them up when they do that. And if you have questions, please be prudent about asking. They want you to ask them. They want you to be a part of this. They're not trying to exclude you, but you have to remember how the process works here, but be a part of it.
Thank you, sir. Your name and address for the records.
Think about that.
I know that you'll have to do that.
Bob Forsack, 138 Chichester. Two things, very short. One is the past couple of years, I think it's been in the Voice, and also we've gotten email blasts from the main office about the Greenbriar residents looking into getting the rain gauges for our
Yeah, for our
systems.
Systems.
Back in June, there was a week or so where we had 2 or 3 days, we'd have a day off and it was raining crazy. I came in twice at different times and pouring like heck. And the sprinklers up by the guardhouse where those seats are, I guess that's the
Right.
lower property, were blasting away water. Wouldn't it be a nice idea maybe to get rain sensors for those?
They do have a rain sensor. I can have it checked.
Okay, no problem. And last but not least, and I've been in several conversations with different people about this. Is there any way that we can get notified by the office, whether it be email, or I know Jamie put an article in, I think last month about it a little bit, but what the duties and responsibilities are of our security people? A lot of people around here, the last couple of years, we don't know what they can do and what they can't do.
Sure.
And I think it would be a good idea to let everybody know what they can do, especially.
Sure. And as you well know, they don't have any police powers.
I know.
I said, as you
Right.
well know, but sure.
Okay, thank you
That's
very
not a
much.
problem. You're welcome. Sorry, your name and address for our record.
Hi, my name is Norman Lederman, 4 Wilton Place. I'd just like to let you know that, excuse me, this Monday we'll be celebrating our 2nd anniversary here, and we're very happy. I must tell you all that. Except for one thing, there's always the but. There's always a
Always
but.
the one.
The but is we still don't receive channel 26.
Why?
That's correct.
Are you a Comcast?
Absolute
Then,
infinity.
then you should have 26.
We don't.
Yeah, you would have to reach out to Comcast. We do have, we
We've tried
There-
calling them. It's impossible to get through. We
there-
need a little help from somebody.
there's a representative. We have a specific representative. His name is on our website. If you call our office, we can give you his direct phone number.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And now there are no writers writing, so what are we watching?
Debbie Harback in 69B. I have two quick comments. One, I've been here almost 3 years and I still can't get channel 26 and I've called
Really?
everybody and anybody.
Have you called the town?
I've called everybody.
you
The
sure?
answer is that the technology is outdated and that it's going to be going away soon, so they're not willing to work
Oh,
on
I
it.
don't think I
But
like
that's
that answer.
what I've been told. Okay, thank you. Number two, I just wanted to give the other side of the directory.
Sure,
I greatly appreciate that our staff updates it
I
constantly.
know.
And with the amount of turnover that's coming in this community, we need something up to date. If we have it printed, and even if somebody else pays for it printed, you're not gonna be able to do it more than once a year, twice a
No,
year.
absolutely
You know,
not.
every other year.
We used to send out, Debbie, with this comes to fruition. Now, remember, this is a process that we've just undertaken. But we would then get updates to the paper book would be handed
you
out
did, see.
routinely.
Okay, all right.
Right.
My point's smooth then. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Miriam, I have one more open forum question. Bear with me, I forgot her name. Maureen Gavin just noted that there's only one outlet for hair dryers in the ladies' locker room. She asked if we could add more. I'll look into it.
All right, I'm going to entertain a motion to close.
Before
We're going to
before you do, Miriam, before you do, I also have one open forum comment.
Sure.
I've been approached by some folks on Chichester who live in the area of Walter, who are citing, and those of you who live there know that it's a raceway. And they are concerned in part because of the curve in the road, about being able to pull out of their driveway safely. And I'm thinking maybe something like a stop sign at that intersection might be an inexpensive, easy way to slow
It's
down
across from me.
that traffic. Well, actually, it's an us issue in
I meant it
Green,
goes down. Which end of Chichester?
in the area of Walter.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's further down into the
Yeah.
block.
bring it to
Okay.
the safety committee. Give it to Alan.
Well, I want to make sure it just doesn't fall into a black hole,
Nothing
because
falls into the
these
black
folks
hole.
asked me to pursue this issue.
Okay, anyone else on the board? have any comments? No, all our board members are happy people. Like to thank you all for coming this evening, and I'd like a motion to adjourn. Mark,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Thank God I didn't need my gavel.